Welcome to Geeks Plus. My name is Spacehawk, and we are not just your average geeks. With me tonight is special guest Doug from Small Rice Studios. Doug, how are you doing tonight?
How's it going, everyone? It is going awesome, cozy, and comfy over here.
And so, Doug is the he is the creative mind behind the game Roast, which is, I will say, it is the coziest looking game that I have ever seen, and I say that quite literally, cozy campfire game. Because Doug, what is the theme of your game?
The theme is community. The theme is mostly it's roasting marshmallows around the campfire, and it hopes to inspire that community, cozy feeling that you get, that you remember as a kid, or that you may actively go and do now. But yeah, it's definitely cozy fun. But there are some marshmallow betrayals, the sinister sweetness, as we called it in the game box. So, it's more than meets the eye.
Not only is this the coziest game that I've ever seen, but it's also the tastiest looking game that I've ever seen.
I have a fun story about that. At one of the cons that I was at,
uh,
this little girl was like, "Oh my god, I like the chocolate so much," and she like was about to eat it, and I had to be like, "No, it's just a card. I'm sorry, it's not going to taste like. I know it looks good, but it's not edible yet, So,
oh,
um,
goodness. Well, anyway, Doug, I'll let you kick it off if you want to just take it. Tell us about your company. Like, how did you found it? What gave you the inspiration for Roast? I'll let you take the lead on this.
for sure, yeah, thanks. So the founding was kind of a series of trying to do something kind of for the sake of doing it. At the time, I was kind of living the RV life, and I was noticing that people are pretty disconnected with each other and with the community as I was,
Mm-hmm.
and I would go to a lot of these places, and it kind of reminded me of what brings people together. And so it started as kind of my own family. My brother Nick lived up in Seattle, and I thought I'll start by kind of seeing how he feels about the idea. It's like, let's just do roasting marshmallows. That was always awesome and fun, and I
Mm-hmm.
remember all that. And so it really started from paper, like, hey, let's write down the core, let's play it, let's see. And we had so much fun that it was like, okay, I mean, this will probably only be like we do this with the family, we made it, so it's fun kind of
Yeah.
thing. But people probably won't be too, into it. And so we tried it with the family, and they really loved it, and they thought it was a lot of fun. And then we were like, okay, well, they liked it a lot, so let's print out a set and let's go try it down at Mox, which is a really big
Mm-hmm.
card game shop over here in Seattle. We're like, okay, so this is like the test, right? If everybody is like, it was lame, I don't like, then it gives you an indication. You had fun, but it wasn't, and it just kept going, man. I mean, we did the play test, and we had people being like, it was awesome, it was so fun, they were laughing, they were having fun, they wanted to play hand after hand after hand, and they had all of these ideas about, oh, what if we do this and what if we do that. And from there we were like, okay, well, I people really seem to like it, and so we're going to go for it. And
Mm-hmm.
we went and we did our Kickstarter. um First time designer, first time everything. It was all very new. Like I was at these cons, and I'm like, this is this is mind blowing that I'm a
Mm-hmm.
vendor. People coming up being like, hey, let me play your game. And I was like, wow, this is, I never in a million years,
Yeah.
and so yeah, it kind of evolved from there and all the way into where we're at now, which is we have a game. We're selling copies. We're in 4 stores now, which is
Wow.
like, that's pretty cool. And we're gearing up for an expansion coming up this October.
That is awesome. Yeah. And I will say, I actually saw these guys on social media, and their social media posts are always fantastic. The art is is just great. I mean, it's colorful. It's fun. It's just fun. So So who does the art? Do you do the art for you guys, or do you guys have like an outside designer or?
So I will always be honest. And the first thing is I am not an artist. We both me and my brother, we are not artists.
Uh-huh.
So we did absolutely everything else. We did not do the art. We have an artist, and it was, it was kind of another funny story to it. I hired somebody from Reddit, and I was like, I'm not a huge employer. I don't know. I'll probably just get, conned or something or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was a really big risk, and it was like, okay. And I'm going through these portfolios, and it was interesting because at the time I was like, okay, well, what we'll do is like this mini battle royale where everybody does the first card, and then of those people we choose three, right? And you say, of
Mm-hmm.
these top three, which one do you like the most? And then we chose the three, and it was actually not the person I thought it was going to be, based on their portfolio. um, I looked at their portfolio and I was like, they had a lot of talent, but I
Yeah.
didn't think the style was going to match at all. And I was like, you're really good, but I don't think it's going to
Yeah.
be the style I wanted. And she did the campfire card, and I was just like, that. I mean, that's it. I mean, it
Yeah.
was it
Because
was awesome.
I feel like a game like this, you need like a certain type of art, if that makes sense. Like you need like a fun, bubbly,
Mm-hmm.
eye-catching art. I mean, that's what this is, and it like I said, it looks great. Um, what was the hardest part to you in this process of making your game? What part really like was like, man, this is difficult.
Oh man. I think it was probably either balancing the game,
Mm-hmm.
um, or it was really trying to get it out there, because it
Yeah.
was astounding to me. I would so I've played this game hundreds and hundreds of times with a bunch
Yeah.
of different people, and I've had maybe, two or three people that haven't had fun, which is just like everybody else is like, I loved it, I had fun, I loved it, it
Yeah.
was this and that. And I think, for example, I made this Marley Mallow costume, and
Mm-hmm.
it was like as tall as me. It was like 30 pounds of
Mm-hmm.
cardboard, and I was like carrying it around. And it was interesting because I would get a lot of people that would come up and they would stop and they would be like, "Oh, hey, what's this?"
Yeah.
And it would generate a lot of attention,
Yeah.
but it wouldn't necessarily lead to people taking that step to sign up for the Kickstarter, join this, join that, be involved, all these things. So there's this step between we had something and people really loved it and we knew we had a really good shot, but taking it from, if I'm standing right in front of you and I know you're going to like it, to I don't know you at all, how do I get you to come hang out, give it a try? Because
Yeah.
everybody that gave it a try was like, this is awesome and I love it. So
Yeah.
yeah, I would definitely say, especially not being a marketing guy, I'm
Yeah.
I'm a designer. I love the design. I love hanging out with the people. I love all of that stuff.
Yeah. Figuring out the mechanics of it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like marketing is always difficult for just anybody doing anything. I mean, even for us at Geeks Plus, it's like we're trying to figure out how to grow bigger and better, and the marketing part of it is just it's so difficult. It's like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
But no, that's awesome, and I'm glad you guys kind of gotten. It seems like you guys have gotten in a good routine though with your, like, especially you were kind of telling me before you're not a social media guy, but this you now do the social media, and so you guys seem like you're in a good routine of like posting great content. I would say, and really engaging with your audience. Um, so let me ask you this: what is one thing that you wish more players knew about the game development process for your game, specifically for your game, but in general? Besides that, the marketing is difficult.
No.
Yeah.
For the most part, I don't think people. It's always nice to be kind of appreciated in the
Yeah.
work we do with that, but it's. I'm glad they don't have to deal with that. I don't. I think it makes me really happy to have been the one that you were just having a normal day and you got to see somebody with this ridiculous marshmallow, and laugh. I saw so many people that it was like they saw this and they
Yeah.
just smiled, and I got to be the one that gave them that smile for the
Yeah.
day, and that was pretty amazing. I think what would be my greatest thing that I wish they knew is that the big advantage to working with the smaller people, the indie people, the everything is you get
Hmm.
to be involved. You get
Yeah.
to there's somebody you can talk to that's really a person that's trying to do it, and it's like that's the cool thing to me. I played plenty of AAA games. I played plenty of everything like that, and they're cool. They're fun in their way. But I think the thing that you don't really get with that is you can't sit down and be like, how did you feel while you were doing this, or you're going to be at that event and you get
Yeah.
to actually interact with the person.
Yeah. Absolutely. And let me ask you this, like going back to the core of the game, when you guys first started, you came up with this idea and you said, this could be a really fun, great game, and then you start that long process and like you said playing hundreds of times, play testing. How did you really decide which mechanics did you keep and then cut during development of your game? Like, did the game when you first started look completely different than it did at the end?
I wouldn't say it looked completely different, but it definitely looked very different. Like there were
Yeah.
so many things that we thought. I mean, the original, you had to get all of the elements in your hand, including the stick. You had to have the 2 graham crackers instead of the one.
Yeah.
And so we would play it, and people would be like, "Oh, I'm kind of bored. I'm not getting the combos that I want."
Yeah.
And so it was kind of a two-part thing. It was like really listening to the community, like how are you feeling while you're playing it? I'm bored. I want to be able to do this. I want to be able to do that. I have a lot of fun doing this, but I'm not able to do it a lot. So there was getting that. What are you looking for? What do you need? What do you want? And then there's the second part of like, okay, so if I tell you I want to be able to attack somebody all the time everywhere, you as the designer have to be like, okay, this is not realistic, right? Because if
Yeah.
if you tell me that and I listen to that, it's like, okay, yeah, but then it's not going to be fun for anybody else. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
there's certain ideas that it was like people would suggest this or that, and it was like that would be fun, but it's going to unbalance the game. So
Yeah.
there was definitely a lot of suggestions. There
Mm-hmm.
was a lot of, and I think the biggest thing was just getting people to play and being like, what did you like? What did you not like?
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, it was tough at times though, to be honest, like
Mm-hmm.
because people would be like, "Oh, I want to do this," and I'm like, "Oh, I'm not sure,"
That's not gonna. I feel like in that in those cases, the people like, because I've been part of play tests and stuff, and it's like a lot of people have a lot of ideas what they think it should be, but then in your head you're like, oh, I know that's not gonna, like it's just not gonna work. I know this mechanic well enough. If we do that, it's gonna screw everything up. But thank you for
Yeah.
your opinion. you know?
There's, yeah, I mean, you try really hard to be really open and everything,
Yeah.
and there are certain times too where, you know, if you're at the con and you're a vendor and you're trying to create an experience, it's like there was a couple of rules that I figured out along the way. Like, your objective is not to win the game; it is to lose by like 5 points, right?
Yeah.
Because if you win, it's like, oh man. But if you lose by too much, it's like, oh, that's boring. So you're trying to like make it as close as you can and just have fun and everything like that.
Yeah.
But another one is like people, you're also trying to kind of guide the experience, and other people will come up and they'll be like, oh, it'd be great if you do all these things. And you're like, yeah, man, I'm managing like 80 things right now. Even if that was a great idea, I can't just toss out all this whole
Yeah.
thing I've
Yeah.
been doing for months and months and months, you know, just for that. And so it's definitely like you said, there's some that they will come up and be like, hey, it'd be great if, and you're like, that's going to destroy the game. I can't do
You
that.
go
But
maybe in an expansion. Maybe let's
yeah, pretty much. You're just gonna be, yeah,
uh,
maybe in a different game. I mean,
uh, absolutely. So speaking of just mechanics, can you tell us a little bit about more how do you play your game? If you can give us just like a little brief overview of how does it work?
yeah, sure. So it's kind of like taking Uno and poker, and half of them, half, because you have to have the ingredients in your hand to make the s'mores, and the other one is you're kind of always pushing your luck. You would play a marshmallow on your turn, and then as the turns go by, he roasts more and more, and he gets worth more and more points.
Mm-hmm.
However, your opponents have all these opportunities to mess with your marshmallows,
Mm-hmm.
right? So they might steal them, they might destroy them, they might steal a chocolate from your hand so you can't combine them, and then they get toasted. So if we're playing together, the whole time I'm kind of going through my turns being like, well, okay, I've got King Mallow here. He's the biggest and the fattest of all the marshmallows, so he's worth a lot of points. But you also know that he's worth a lot of points, so you're really disincentivized to let me make him all the way up. So I'm kind of constantly playing this game of like, should I take him off and score quick? Should I go for the big score? Should I, everything like that. So that's kind of the core mechanic is really just this constant push your luck kind of game, and all of the other cards kind of facilitate that element of, should I attack? Should I just let him complete his s'more and go for a bigger score? Everything like that. So that's kind of the core mechanic.
Oh, nice. Awesome. So let me ask you this. What advice would you give to somebody who's aspiring to create their own game?
I think the main thing would just be to remember why you started. Because being successful in a commercial sense or other people's saying you're successful sense, I think is an awesome thing. And I've definitely made side projects that were not commercially successful. But I feel like the desire to make it is the thing that's going to keep you going when it seems like it's just like, oh, it's never going to end. People aren't going to like it. All those fears and all the doubts that constantly are trying to win out.
Mm-hmm.
It's really going to be the love of doing it. It's going to be, I just want to see it. I just want to make it. I just want to try it, kind of thing.
Awesome. Well, I like to ask this question. It's a fun one. What is your like, and you can't be biased and say your own game, but what are your favorite, like, we'll say top 3 favorite games of all time, tabletop?
It's hard to say. It all kind of shifts. At one time, it would have been Risk.
Mm-hmm.
Funny story about that, though. I learned in the actual rules that you can move any unit all the time, and I was like, oh, like if you go and you play online,
mm-hmm.
if you have 100 units, you can basically just keep attacking. And I'm like, oh, I didn't like that. We used to play it as you can only attack one adjacent tile every time, and it made it a slower game, and so it really changed up the dynamics. But I don't know. I like different genres of different games all the time, like One Night Werewolf, or the new one. I can't remember. I just recently played it. It was super awesome. It was about everyone gets a clan. Everyone is a ninja clan, and you have to sniff out which clan each person is from.
Oh, that's fun. I love party games like that. Those are always fun.
I would say Uno is one of my all-time favorites.
Yeah.
I mean, there's just something about it. I don't know.
Old school Uno, man.
Draw 12ing somebody,
Now, okay, I've seen Uno put out. They like put out their own. They're like, this is what the actual rules are, and yet I didn't look at them because I was like, I'm gonna play Uno the way I want to play Uno. I'm sorry. If I want to make someone suffer with, if I want to just keep, getting them, I'm going to do it.
Yeah. So. Yeah, I'm with you, man. Yeah. No, that's one of those things. Like they put out the real rules, and you're like,
yeah, I don't care.
This is
like, I don't care.
Yeah. I don't care. Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's pretty much like we always play cumulative. If I play a draw 2 and you have a draw 2, it goes up and up and up until you don't have one anymore. So you get these big plays like draw 12, no, and stuff like that. So
the one person fans their cards, and there's like 50 cards in their hand. They're like, what is happening?
Things have not gone well this round.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Oh.
Let's see. Coup is another one that's pretty fun.
Hmm.
Um, Tactics, usually something that has tactics and deceptions to it in some way.
Yeah.
You know,
Do you prefer like are party games more of your style? Like something you like, or you like more strategy?
I would say for the most part in this like right now, yeah, I prefer more light, fun ones right
Yeah.
now, especially kind of for tabletop. I think with tabletop specifically, there's certain really big games that I think I can get into, but I can only do like one or two like
Yeah.
that I can be really about. Like I've got a lot of friends that have the whole shelfie and like they have a lot of really huge ones, and that's really cool. But I'm like, give me Blood on the Clock Tower, give me like a couple of really big ones that I can remember the rules to, and let's just play that one over. Because I can't, if it's a novel, I can't play 20 of those kind of thing.
Guilty. I am Mr. Complicated. And what's funny is I used to never be like that. I used to never be like uh, head first into the strategic board games because
Okay.
I'm very ADHD. And so when I open it and I look at the rule book and it's like this thick, I'm like, I stare at it for a minute and then I just go put on a YouTube video on how to play because I can't. I don't think and that's I guess peek behind the curtain for me is I play a lot of games. I've reviewed a lot of games, and the more complicated it is, mini the more YouTube videos I've watched on how to play said game because I'm
Gotcha.
so ADHD that I cannot read a rule book. I just can't. It's like reading a novel and I just can't do it. And
So
then
do you?
when I don't, I get my wife just to teach me how to play. She doesn't mind.
That's awesome. So do you remember like between games? So it's like if you were to play a really big box
Yeah.
one from like 4 years ago, would you actually remember the rules, or would
I
you have to teach it?
I would play it. I feel like I would have a lot of confidence and like I know how to play this. Open it up, start to play, and be like, wait, what was that rule again? Grab the book and flip through it and read it, and like, hold on, wait, what's that again? And then give up and then go watch another YouTube videos.
Yeah.
So but we do have the shelves with the complicated game. Like we have quite a bit. But I've slowly graduated into doing that. So it did take some time, but we do have a lot of the light, humorous fun because I have little kids and they want to play like the fun. Now my kids are raised by like nerdy tabletop parents who will teach them, we're not just playing like Candyland at my house. We're playing like,
Yeah.
we're playing like Flamecraft, like a more advanced game, but they love it
That's
even though they barely
that's
know what they're
awesome.
doing. And I beat them every time. But and then my wife beats me though, so it's like I have to feel some sort of accomplishment by, beating my kids at
Yeah, but you tell her that you let her win, right? You're like,
yeah, I was like,
oh,
I
well,
totally let you win.
I,
No,
yeah,
I say that jokingly, and I say that I beat my kids, but I'll be honest, my daughter, who just turned 8, she beats me. She has beat me at a few board games, and I was like, how did you just win? And it's like a more complicated. I'm like, what is happening? Like, how did you just beat me? And she's like, because I'm good. And so I'm like, all right, I just want to see in the future. I want to get a glimpse of the future of my children on what are they going to be like if at 8 years old they know these games, like what are they going to be like in 10 years? They're going to be like, playing way more complicated games than my old man brain can comprehend. So.
I feel like I've seen your future in myself in the way that I introduced my parents to Civ 6, and they got obsessed with it, and the curve was just like, we'll play, and the whole time I'm playing, I'm like keeping it entertaining for them. I'm like, I could just win at any point, you know what I mean? But like they like playing it, so
Yeah.
so I'm like, you're by the time your daughter's like 14, she's gonna just be like, I mean, I could beat you, but that
Oh
wouldn't be
yeah,
fun.
it's gonna be just taking me down. There's gonna be a point. I'm waiting for it. It's the point of my timeline here where the kids just all of a sudden are better than me at tabletop game, and it's gonna come, and I hope it happens. I welcome it. I want them to be like really good at board games and games like yours, and that's something that I love. Bring it back to roast is that I love that it seems like a very family friendly game. You know, it's something that you can introduce your kids to. What is the recommended age, like minimum age, you would say that's perfect for families?
I mean, it's pretty much like 4 to 99.
Yeah.
Any, it, it's pretty much good for any age.
Mm-hmm.
And that was one of the things that we had in mind. Making it was, I really wanted it to be a community game,
Yeah.
and in the same sense that, like I can play some of the big ones. If a friend is like, "Hey, I really want to play this really large board game," I'm like, "Okay, I'll do it." But there's people that will nope out after, they'll see the rule book, and they'll be like, no, I'm done. You know what I mean? And we really wanted it to be for everybody in the family, including the small kids to the older folks, that it's like, I don't want to memorize this huge book or this or
Yeah.
that. And
You
I
want to
think
pick it
that's,
up and play it within like 15 minutes, not 2 hours of watching YouTube videos.
yeah, pretty
Yeah.
much, yeah. I mean, even with my own family, like there was a threshold, and I was like, if it's not this easy, then they're not going to play. And it's like our whole objective is to bring all these people together, and as somebody who, like, I can really get into the strategy games, the all day, like, okay, well, I move, my infantry over here, which means that in 20 turns the wheat fields will, and I can play that,
Mm-hmm.
and I've been a fan of RTS for a really long time, and I love the super complicated ones. But I can still pick up roast, and I can still have fun.
Yeah.
And so it was just so much easier to go from that level to everybody who isn't going to give it as much of a chance, to make it something that everyone can enjoy, kind
Yeah.
of thing.
I think that's really important. Is having games like that out there that isn't your typical Candyland mousetrap. Like you get a little bit more advanced with the game, but you're still in that like beginner stage. But it's still you're having the fun that you would have playing. I don't know, zombie side. You're still having fun. You're still having that same enjoyment out of it you would have playing a bigger, more, you know, intense game, as opposed to, but yeah, I love the lightheartedness. I love like I said, I love the art with it. I think it's fantastic. Guys, if you haven't, go check out Small Rice Studios. The roast is just great. Let me ask you this last question before we close for tonight. Is there anything that you can share that's coming up for you guys? Have anything in the
So we
pipeline?
Yeah, well, there's too much actually. There's a lot. So we've got a pretty jam-packed year coming up. We just introduced our little woodcut ranger badges that we give away as a reward just for engaging in the community, hopping into the Discord, playing a game with your family, everything like that. They're
Mm-hmm.
really nice, custom designed wooden tokens. Um, so we've got that. We've got these Mallowations. We have the little mallows doing these animated skits and shorts that we released the first one, like I think it was like 2 weeks ago, that we're
Mm-hmm.
coming up with scripts for. And we've got the Follow the Mallow tour, which is we're going to start. First, we're going to climb Mount Rainier, which is going to be pretty insane because I've never climbed Mount Rainier before and hope I
Wow.
don't die. But that's going to kick off our Follow the Mallow tour, which we're going to get this Jeep Renegade or Rebellion. I don't know. It looks like a marshmallow. It's kind of silly because it's a Jeep, so it's trying to be like, oh, we're out there and edgy, but it also
Yeah.
looks like a giant marshmallow. So you're like, what were you thinking? So we were like, oh, this will be great. So we're gonna get one of those. We're gonna wrap it to have the marshmallows on it. It's gonna say follow the Mallow. And we're gonna start from after Rainier. We're gonna start from Seattle. We're gonna go all the way back down to San Diego, hitting up all of these game shops, coming in, doing play nights, play tests, all of that stuff. All kind of ramping up for our second Kickstarter to kick off the expansion.
Oh wow!
And yeah, so we're gonna have a big kickoff celebration part. Hopefully, hopefully we succeed. But when we succeed, we're gonna have a big celebration party. We've got a band and a private chef, and we're gonna have a big bonfire. Hopefully, I'm trying to get these fire twirlers to come and do a show. It's kind of on the theme too. So yeah, so that's our year ahead.
That sounds awesome.
Thanks, man. Yeah, we're gonna try to make it an awesome year, and hopefully the new expansion is just as much fun as the original. And hopefully, I think the way that it's shaping up, it's gonna be able to be interchanged with the original. So you're going to get a whole new set of cards, a whole new way to play, and it's going to kind of build on the original. And yeah,
that's awesome. Wow. All right. So you guys be sure to go follow Small Ride Studios for this amazing game. You need to check it out. And we will be doing a review and unboxing very soon on our channel. So stay tuned with that. And be sure to give us a follow on all our social medias, because we got some awesome stuff coming on all 3 of our channels, on here on the Tabletop channel, as well as our comics and our video game channel. But guys, that is it for us tonight. Stay safe, stay nerdy, be blessed. We will catch you next time for more. Bye.